on them.
Nice. Oh, and isn't next week Super Bowl? So no recording.
Yeah.
Didn't get the camera set up, but I got close. Now it's gotta get truck and oil change. Maybe that'll be later this month. Hopefully I'm putting that truck bed on in about 2 weeks. Not this coming weekend, but get that out of Eric's yard before I kill all his grass with it.
Yeah. Okay. Yep. Fuck. Come on.
Is Spin Martin scheduled to talk Super Bowl turf? No, that would have been a good one though. Should be Taylor this Thursday.
Year Zero is an idea put in practice by Pol Pot. Oh. One of the worst murdering fucking human beings in the history of the world. Awesome. A kind of starting over. Year Zero. The new rulers of Cambodia call 1975 Year Zero the dawn of an age which there will be no families, no sentiment, no expressions of love or grief, no medicines, no hospitals, no schools, no books, no learning, no holidays, no music, no song, no posts, no money, only work.
Only work?
Only work. And then they murder you. So yeah.
Karl Marx write this?
Pol Pot.
No.
So if you look in our group chat on Discord and you go up and you're going to see the founder of Woke Kindergarten.
I saw that.
Okay. Well, she legit is the founder of Woke Kindergarten. That is the name of it. And It is called Woke Kindergarten, Year Zero, clearing out the cities. And it goes on to say, it's a kind of starting over, Year Zero, which is a direct quote from Pol Pot. Pol Pot adopted the term Year Zero as an analogy for Year One from the French Revolutionary calendar. It was in effect by the Khmer Rouge to erase history and reset Cambodian society, removing any vestiges of the past. Culture, traditions within a society must be completely destroyed or discarded, and that a new revolutionary culture must replace it, starting from scratch. In this sense, all the history of a nation or a people before Year Zero would be largely deemed irrelevant, because it would be it would ideally be purged and replaced from the ground up.
Really?
That was a good tune. Let's see Pol Pot's death count. Pol Pot resulted in the Cambodian genocide, which they suspect anywhere from 1.5 to 2 million people died at the hands of his policies. What a great fucking person to model a school after.
Genghis Khan was already trademarked. Sorry.
At least we all share Genghis Khan DNA.
Well, it was Caligula. Don't forget about Caligula. That was another good one.
Who was Caligula?
Not familiar with Caligula?
No.
Let me read you some Caligula bedtime stories here in just a minute.
Yeah. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Oh, the Roman Emperor. Yes, give me some. I don't know a lot about him at all.
Oof. All right.
I'm not a big like Rome fan.
Let's see.
What is the meme? How much of the day do you spend thinking about the Roman Empire? My answer to that is -1.
Let's see here.
I'm not thinking about the Roman Empire. I'm effectively forgetting about the Roman Empire as time goes on. I haven't studied it since like fucking 10th grade in high school. I have no desire. Telly, I don't know. Let me look at that. Research development tax deduction. All right. The federal research and development tax credit results in a dollar-for-dollar reduction in a company's tax liability for certain domestic expenses. Qualifying expenditures generally include the development, the design, development, or improvement of products, processes, techniques, formulas, or software.
It's been around for a minute, hasn't it? Last couple of years,
Mm-hmm.
at least. Gosh darn it.
Developing processes, patents, formulas, techniques, prototypes, or software, improving or redesigning existing products, hiring scientists, designers, or engineers that engage in qualifying activities, devoting time and resources to creating, manufacturing, and developing new or innovative products. You can claim an R&D tax credit of up to $250,000 per year against their payroll taxes. I don't have a $250,000 a year payroll.
But you could if you bankrupt
I
yourself.
could.
What did that guy in the lawn care video tell you? Just make everything an expense, and you won't have to pay any taxes.
Expense everything, and then borrow money to cover those expenses, and then wash, rinse, repeat every single year, show a loss on your taxes, and then wait for the IRS to come knocking on your door. Because, man, if that were ever an audit trigger.
Hey,
Okay.
hey, Tristan, the lawn care guy. How come there's poop on this receipt? Well, after I dragged it through the stripper's ass, and before I snorted coke out of it,
I
I
shit
wanted to make sure
myself.
that I make sure I wanted to make sure I expense this. So it wasn't the A team that was working. This was a rainy Tuesday afternoon. Where is he at again? He's in Kansas City, somewhere like that. Wherever he's at, there may not be an A team at the strip joint. It's unfortunate, but just wait. All right.
Telly, I am going to talk to my accountant about this. If collaboration with a research university.
Ooh.
Mm.
You know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'll have to see. Thank you, Telly. Put my kids on payroll. Not a bad idea. But I got to make sure we can cover payroll first. That's the trick. You can put
Either
them on
that
payroll,
or
but you got to
Yeah.
pay them.
yeah, and is this going to become another audit trigger, Matt?
I know. I was like, I'm on payroll as it is. Well, I'm a K1, right?
As long as you can do,
Yeah.
as long as they do something that it has I can't remember what the term they use, but value to the business. So they have to be like in a marketing ad or something like that. And the trick is that you pay them whatever it is now, $7,500 or whatever it is to put into like a simple IRA or a Roth IRA.
Yeah.
And you just you start cranking it up for them. Or you can just do that taxable account and not fuck with it. There's also that way too.
I'll be right back.
Mm-hmm. Let me see. About that. Gotta get some articles in here. I don't care about that.
I was trying to find something on the Super Bowl turf.
There probably won't be anything out till this week. But
the most I found is like, oh, it's a retractable deal.
Well, same thing that happened last year, or same setup.
Mm-hmm.
I think it'll be fine. I think they learned.
Bermuda.
Oh, heavily fucking overseeded Bermuda.
Oh,
Which also wasn't the major problem last year. The major problem was that they stuck it inside and left it there for I don't know,
days,
5 days, 4 days, 4.5 days, something like that.
4.5 days, and then on top of that, really overwatering it.
Well, I was not thinking that was them thinking they could pull it back outside and dry it out again, and then the NFL was like, "Nope, we're going to build these seats in the way here."
Mm-hmm.
Oh boy, I don't know if I can find a way to read this article. Let me see if I can get it from the library. Digital resources. News.
Nope.
I don't know if I get it from EBSCOhost or not. Fuck you goddamn cocksucker. Here we go. Yep. Yep. Uh-huh. Oh. It's going to be like that, huh? Wall Street Journal. Yes. Yeah. Oh.
Struggling.
Are you now? Find shit. Explore databases.
Okay, Telly. So this is for engineering firms and construction companies is to be added to research and development expenditures in the year they incurred those costs. Companies must spread R&D expenditures and related tax deductions over a 5-year amortization. Lawmakers did not repeal the 5-year amortization outright, but did block it for 2 years, allowing businesses to expense their R&D costs through 2025. I am not an engineering or construction company, but I do believe I am covered. But here's the thing: is that let's see, when was this? February 1st. It made it to the Senate. Was it signed today? I don't know.
Yes. Here we go. Yes. Wait a second.
So they are restoring the goal here is to restore the R&D tax deduction. So it was in place, and then it's repealed, and now they're trying to get it back.
Yes.
And they are baking it into a bunch of other things, of course.
I'm telling you, Ray is more crispy after the update.
Ray is crispy as hell. It did not pass the Senate. So it was signed, it passed the House, and then it was going to the Senate on Wednesday.
Where do I search?
They did pass the child tax credit expansion. Good. Children are expensive. I want to pay as little to the fucking government as possible.
Absolutely.
Without a doubt.
And although, if you know, you know.
I look. I don't think it's any secret. Ray and I fall into the category that we have probably an outrageous amount of hate for the government in general. But there is, I don't think anything. There is no greater wasteful spending than the federal government. It is the absolute pinnacle of shit spending.
How to waste money, and I think a lot of the waste, Matt, is self-inflicted. And the reason why I say it's
fucking big.
Yeah, well, the reason why I say it's self-inflicted.
Scale.
Yeah, the reason why I say it's self-inflicted is, as you know, for example, majority of people in Hawaii work for the government, right? Majority, vast majority. So I get to listen in and actually be part of conversations of all of these private entities that do business with the government, and the stuff that I hear makes my blood boil. And the reason why it makes my blood boil is here's these motherfuckers talking about how they are fucking over me, the taxpayer, so they can make a little more money every year. Okay, I mean that is
DeMay, you were
that
gonna,
is the
you
kind
were
of
gonna offer some balance there. What were you gonna say?
I would say unequivocally, and without any evidence, but other than my own experience and just extrapolating that across the United States, that the gross mismanagement, outright unethical behavior, and or just absolutely stupid shit that gets spent at a local, municipal, township, county level
yes.
is exponentially higher than anything the federal government does. If you were to extrapolate that across the entire...
I think it's just like a business, right? And I'm gonna phrase it like this, DeMay, right? When you are in lawn sales, right? You're selling $40 applications. Then when you're in product sales, you're selling $400 pallets. And then when you're in business sales, you're selling, $4 million deals, right? It's the same hustle. There's just additional zeros on the end of it. So I hear you that I think what you see at the municipal level is just a representation of what goes on at the federal level, because it's so big and it's so much easier to just bury a zero, and no one connects the dots on it until 2 years, 3 years after the fact that we had an accounting error and we can't find $8 billion that we just happen to misplace, or we have $53 billion in assets we cannot locate.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
That it's the municipal spending with scale.
And I'm going to counter that by saying that municipal spending is funded by the frickin' federal government. All right?
Sometimes.
So it's it's all in, it's pretty much all in, it's all tied together, because what's being kept really buried is the ongoing scandal here in Hawaii. The ongoing scandal here. The rail system that goes to nowhere, and it's not going to do a fucking thing.
It goes in the ocean. Where else would it go?
That is an intercontinental transoceanic railroad.
It's going to connect
right?
to Sarah Palin's bridge.
Yeah. The president told us that he's doing a transoceanic railway, if you don't recall.
Oh, no. Well, yeah, right. Well, so does that mean that all I got to do is hop on the train and I can go visit Wiley and I can go visit Aldo?
Yeah. And then,
yeah,
you can go to Korea when you're done.
Right? I mean, or go see my cousins in Japan. Yeah, right. No, Matt, it's again an example of what you said about somebody misplaces some zeros, and next thing you know, oh, this is not costing millions, this is costing billions. And where the fudge are we going to get the money from?
Well,
right?
It's easy. It's easy because the government has what they do is they propose it to us in a vote, and we get to vote whether or not the federal government should print more money. Do y'all remember voting for all that? Do you remember?
I didn't.
All the Democratic elections we've had over devaluing our currency and voting for inflation. Do y'all remember all that? It was on the ballot.
I don't recall.
One time.
I don't recall that vote. And
weird. I don't fucking either, Ray. Strange.
Yeah, because you see, I don't recall being asked or it put up to vote if we should head towards hyperinflation so that we can print more money. I mean, I don't remember having that vote, not in 2016 and not in 2020. I don't remember that vote, Matt. I really
don't.
don't.
In 2017, I don't remember it in 2022. I don't remember it in 2023. But it continues to happen, and it's fucking hilarious. My favorite part of politics are the people that finger point at one another and say, "No, it's your party," and then the other people say, "No, it's your party." They are the same. I call it the uniparty now. I've adopted that as the terminology. It's all the fucking same. It's all a racket. When you can someone tell me what Mitch McConnell's net worth is? What has Mitch McConnell done in private industry?
Yeah, that's a good question. It's like, what has that guy done in private industry, or more specifically, what value has that man created?
Who's that?
What?
Mitch McConnell has a net worth of $35 million as a career politician. As a senator.
Motherfuck.
What is Nancy Pelosi's net
It's
worth?
got to be 40 million plus.
50. The lady is worth 50.
100 million.
100
million. Yes.
Yeah.
She
Miss
has
Nancy
a net
Pelosi is
worth
worth
that ranges between 100 to 200 million.
Depending on what's being counted. Yeah. Oh my God, Matt.
For fuck's sake, when you look at people like Mitch McConnell and Nancy Pelosi, opposite parties, they're the same fucking person. They are the exact same fucking person. These people
and
are
you know what?
Fucking scumbags. Absolute
and you know,
fucking scumbags. None of them give a fuck about shit. None of them give a fuck about the preservation of fucking liberty in this country. They don't give a fuck about the Constitution. None of them give a fuck about anything other than making sure they get reelected and they can be on the inside of some really fucking sweet, profitable deals. Fuck.
Oh, yeah. You see, yep. I mean, I call them part of this term that I was introduced to.
Same here, telling.
Called
census.
Called the managerial class. And these are people where, for whatever reason, they remain in power and they make decisions and they are completely insulated from accountability for their decisions. They are so insulated, and the only way to get rid of the managerial class is a government purge, followed by everyone in office is limited to one term. And before or after that term, they must not have any ties to the government. I mean, the revolving door, you know, the revolving door, that would be the first thing that I break. All right? This revolving door, for example, between the military and defense contractors, this revolving door between the FDA and medical associations and big pharma, I'd break that fucker. Okay? That would get broken down and gotten rid of. So, because you know who was one of the biggest slime balls that I can think of? The former FDA director. Because that guy
was
big pharma.
Which one? I think
Scott
like the last
Gottlieb.
fucking 5 of them have gone to work and been on the board at some fucking pharma company.
Yeah. Well, I'm thinking about the last one, that Scott Gottlieb, him. I mean, big pharma. Big pharma. So I would say, okay, if we want to clean up government, we gotta break that revolving door. No more.
You know, I get it. Like I will 100% understand the criticism of reasonable liberals or Democrats that say, there is a function or a piece of free market capitalism that is unhumanitarian. I understand that, and I concede that there is a piece of it that is at play because of it.
However, you know what is actually inhumane are these Democrats. They are the ones that empower the very entities that they criticize to do what they do via legalism that shields them from accountability. You see, you strip away all the legalistic bullshit, and when people are accountable, that takes care of a lot of the problems associated with free market capitalism. Because you see, it is not capitalism when an entity is specifically shielded from accountability and liability.
Yep.
That's not capitalism. That's not free market capitalism. That is
No, it is not.
That is actually what I define as fascism. That is actually fascism.
And it is, and I think you can even look at it, right? And I think a lot of people do not want to look at their party and say, you know what? I think my party has become this, right? And this is occurred on both sides, and I will die on this hill. That you have the new right and the new left, right? And it is effectively from an economic standpoint, they're pretty much in line, right? There's not a lot of economic discrepancy between the two. At this point, it is the main war is culture. It is purely a culture war, and it is the culture war of declaring moral superiority. Fuck the economy. Talk a lot about the economy, but really what it comes down to is each side is saying is that if I have the power, I will spend the money to help you with the exact same economic policy.
Yep, same policy. And Tully's asking an interesting question, because you see, I have come to the conclusion that
on the fucking police.
Yep, because you see, my conclusion on the police is that if up to me, the police is the other place where, you know what, all you guys are gone. Go get a real job like everybody else does. And you know why? It has become my experience that the police are there to protect criminals. They're not there for the law-abiding citizen. So I would say that an improvement would be get them out of here. Gone.
I will agree to increase police presence as long as that I can own the same degree of weaponry that the police can. When I can get a fucking Bearcat with a 50 cal on it, go ahead.
So how about a turret with like a t-shirt cannon? Can we agree that you and the police are allowed to have those things?
Yes.
Yep.
As long as we are in equal footing, I think that is a reasonable fucking deal there.
I can't wait to see Ron Henry t-shirts out over the crowd next time there's a goddamn demonstration.
And that is why. Yeah, and that is why I say that here in Honolulu, I'd like to see the police walk the streets and patrol. No guns. None. Okay? No guns. All their guns are in a safe. They are not allowed to carry anything. Because people in Hawaii are not allowed to carry anything. That's fair, right, Matt?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, if I can't, then the police can't. I mean, that's how I see your point exactly.
If I'm carrying a sidearm and the first thing the police want to say is, "Can I see your ID?" Something. Okay, let me see your fucking ID.
Yep.
Stop and
Mhm.
frisk.
They join the police
Stop
and
and
join the
frisk.
black church because they don't have any power in other aspects of their lives. I don't even think that is that's not a black thing, Telly. That is a people thing. Period. I think that's that thirst for power. You see it in homeowners associations. You see it in fucking school boards. That's why I'm so
Mhm.
glad we do not have a fucking parent teacher association or fucking school board at our school. Because
Nope.
again, that is one of those things that I do not fucking handle well at all. My God, I couldn't
Really,
imagine having to live
your
with an
school,
HOA. Ugh,
your school doesn't have a school board?
no,
All right. All right.
no,
Because
fuck that.
okay, because for me, you know what my requirement is, of course, is you just said it too. No goddamn HOAs. None. All right? No HOAs. And here's the other thing is I would also posit that should not have a school board because isn't it enough that, for example, the superintendent of schools is put up for public vote, and so he's accountable. I mean, that guy's accountable. I mean, he fucks up, he gets voted out.
Telly, is your county one of the ones that they are doing the rollout of the voucher trial? I hope that fucking passes. So bad. So bad. I hope that passes. And we get to watch public schools fucking die. Absolutely fucking die. Just a flaming hot sack of shit death of fucking public schools. Because it's insanity. And again, and I'll point this statistic out, right? That in state of Tennessee, they did a third grade Eric is saying that the number of people that are fully brainwashed by the culture stuff. Exactly. Get them the fuck out of the way, right? Get the fuck out of the way. It's about
And it's
fucking education, and you can't.
and it's on both sides too, Eric. It's on both sides.
that is
I mean,
true.
right, Matt?
Oh, yeah.
It's on both
yeah,
sides because
without
you
a doubt.
see, for me, I like Hawaii's policy on that. And you know what Hawaii's policy is on that stuff? That is not to appear from either side in schools. No gay stuff, no religious stuff. None of it.
You know what this is what I love about the voucher program is, right? Is that
Mhm.
if you don't like the shit that's going on at your school, you can immediately pull your kid and put him somewhere else. No
Yep.
worry about zoning, restrictions, whatever the fuck.
Mhm.
You are in control of whether or not you agree or do not agree with whatever's going on at the school. And that's just, I think that responsibility, the family should have the ability to make that decision.
That power,
Not
right?
be
They
locked
should-
in by a fucking zone or a district or whatever the case may be. Even if it's a financial thing, right? Give them the freedom and the ability that if you're gonna pay fucking property taxes for fucking schools, at least give them the decency to be able to put them in the fucking school they want their fucking child to go to. Everyone
you know
wants
what,
the best
here's
for
the-
their children, right?
Here's
Give
the
them the
interesting
fucking
thing.
flexibility to do it. I think
To do it.
Oh, this is what I was going to say. The third grade. So they passed a law in Tennessee, and
Mhm.
again, why this has to be law, I have no fucking idea, but it is. Is that in third grade you have to take a standardized test to see where you are, right? And
Reading, yeah.
it's the big thing is that you have to pass the reading piece of it in order to move forward. And 50% of the third graders in the state of Tennessee could not pass. That is a fucking problem.
Wow.
The federally funded schools in the state of New York, 80%, 86% could not pass algebra. That's a fucking problem. When the government gets that embedded, that balls deep in the school, shit starts going awry in a major, major fucking level. And I'm not going to say that a lot of this doesn't fall on the home. I would say that 90% of it falls on the home, right? But
99% of it is the home. And I'm going to also put this one on. Okay, by the time a so-called child is 12 years old, I believe a decision has to be made whether that child stays in school or not. Because to me, education past age 12 is a commodity and a privilege. It is not a right.
I would have to think about that. I don't know.
I do. I'll tell you why I know. That's how the rest of the fucking world works, Matt. The rest of the world
paid teachers are what they're worth, and I do agree. There is, speaking of mismanagement of money, I believe in the state, in my county where I live, it costs approximately $12,000 per student in a public school. It's fascinating that the private school my kids go to, which cost a fraction of 12 grand a year. I mean, a fraction. It's cheap enough that I can afford it. 100% pass third grade reading proficiency, and it wasn't even fucking close. But here's the thing, is that if you choose to send your child to a private school, chances are, because you're financially responsible for your child, you are going to put effort in the home as well, right? And so I think you see a lot of parents who pay additional attention to their children while at home and place an exceptional amount of emphasis on the fucking child outcomes too. And I'll say this: our private school is a very, very blue collar school. Very blue collar school. Fucking Knoxville's 86% white. Our school is like 44% white. Okay. It is very, very blue collar. But it's one of the top schools in the state of Tennessee as well, too. So I don't think it's as simple as saying that it's teachers not being paid what they're worth. I think there's something more of an issue at play. And is it fucking drugs? Is it I don't know. I have no idea what it is.
It is, Matt. It's another issue of managerial problems, because
mismanagement of money too, right? Like is a superintendent over, or a principal of a school making $350 grand a year,
Matt,
while teachers are
it's not even
it's not even
the principals, because the principals themselves, they get paid maybe a little bit more than teachers, at least where I'm at. But you know who sucks all the money is all of these administrators that are no longer in a classroom or school setting.
I need to look at a budget of public schools. I honestly don't know how that breaks out. I know how it works in our school, because I look at the fucking financials of that. That's for damn sure.
Because I see, like, teachers here, for example, they get paid, starting pay is, I believe, about 30-something, 40,000 a year. That's what a teacher in Hawaii is expected to live on. Are you kidding me? But the non-teaching administrators, they sit in their air-conditioned offices far away from the school campus. Guess how much they're getting paid? Over $100,000 a year, and they have nothing to do with the students. Nothing.
That's insane.
And there's literally more administrators than there are teachers. There's literally more administrators than
on the cultural side. Until I said it's a cultural thing, and I think that culturally, an easy metric to look at is the emphasis of the family as it exists right now, right? DeMay and I were talking about this not too long ago. The anti-natalism, right? I think anti-natalism as a response to the weird culture war that's going on, and I'm not going to say anti-natalism created the culture war. I'm going to say that was a result of
a product
one
of
of the weird offshoots of the ongoing culture war. Is again this idea of two-parent households, or children are a drain on the economy, a drain on the climate. And I think an easy thing to look at is the birth rate of the United States. And everyone talks about fucking Japan and Korea and the birth rate. Look at the fucking birth rate in the U.S., especially if you take out the immigrant population. Look at the birth rate of the U.S. Immigrants are still having babies. Look at second, third, fourth generation and beyond birth rate in the U.S. It is, the more educated we become as a society, the less we're having children. There is a double-edged sword to that, right? The other thing too is that a lot of times it is equated to cost. The cost of raising children is expensive, 100%. However, at the same time, I think the other side of that coin is, as a parent, what are you willing to sacrifice in terms of lifestyle in order to bring children into the world and raise them to the best of your ability? That doesn't take the extreme amount of money that it's paying. What is it they say that it costs however many hundreds of thousands of dollars to raise a child from kindergarten through 18 years old, or whatever, from birth to 18 years old? I can't remember what it is. It's an exorbitant number, right? I mean, just
it is a ridiculous amount, Matt. And I'm going to make the argument that children in the United States, the way I see it, Matt, are extremely spoiled. Extremely spoiled, okay? Because I know that in Hawaii and the rest of the world, children grow up under extremely austere conditions. They don't have a lot of things.
My point being is that it's not that it's, if the argument is that it's simply too expensive, why are immigrants able to have children at an economically sustainable birth rate and afford it and give them opportunity?
I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why the immigrants can't.
However, the higher earners are not. They're the ones.
I'll tell you why the immigrants can't.
That struggle with the lifestyle aspect of it.
Yeah, I'll tell you why the immigrants can, Matt. It's because the austere lifestyle that they had in their own country, guess what? Those fucking kids are going to grow up that way here in the United States. End of story, okay? The children are not going to get the latest toys or the latest clothes. They're not. They're not going to go to eat fast food every week either. No, they're not.
It's the boomers' fault.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, we had 5 in a 1,400 square foot house in fucking Memphis, in not the best neighborhood. I mean, it was, I mean, we live in a fucking, a prefab 1,600 square foot house now. It's upgraded, but I mean, I'll say this: my house now is not as. I mean, we at least had a brick house in Memphis.
You are a fucking pussy.
I am. It's not worth $500,000 at 37 years old. So I'm fucking up. That's for sure. I think it appraised at 250, and I definitely couldn't sell it for that much. Maybe I could because I've got land, but
And Matt, I'm going to stay out. I'm going to stay out of that $500,000 house, and because you know why I'm going to stay out of that conversation? It's because when my father bought this house, it was only worth about $200,000. So I cannot claim that this house is worth what it is now because that valuation is just like the frickin' government printing money. There is no basis for its value. So I'm not going to say, oh, I live in a $1 million house, Spencer. I mean, come and get me. No. I remember looking at my father's papers when he died. Yeah, he bought the house for under $200,000. So I'll put it at that. And to me, this house is still worth about $200,000. I give no fucks what the property tax office says about it because you know what? They're playing funny games too because between COVID and the real scam, City of Honolulu is out of money. Okay? They're out of money.
Telly said he speaks at reformatory schools every month, and it's sad kids today are so brainwashed by the media. 9 out of 10 want to be a rapper, or DJ, or gamer, or even baby mama. These are 65% white kids, 35% black, and others. So it's not about race. I wouldn't take it that way at all. And I agree 100%. In fact, Telly, I would even go further to say that even adults are falling into that exact same fucking mindset, right? That again,
trash lifestyle.
I don't think that Spencer is too far off in his thinking in a line of adults. Like, it's easy to get caught into the rat race. That if I don't have a $500,000 house by the time I'm 40, I'm failing. Right? Like it's easy to get into that mindset. And I know a lot of people my age, a lot of millennials my age and zennials are 100% in that, right? Because we're almost 40. You're in the midlife crisis time frame, and you're like, man, I'm running out of time. What the fuck am I doing with my life? I don't have anywhere near the amount of savings that I think I'm going to need in order to fucking retire. And I at least should have a fucking nice house. And because again, too, Telly, I grew up on Facebook. My freshman year of college was year one of Facebook, right? And so the whole fucking explosion of social media was comeuppance at exactly my age, right? So I think especially the 38-year-olds and younger are really sucked into that bad. And it's us that have the young kids in elementary schools right now, right? And if that's the struggle that we fucking had, then it's going to be the same thing that our fucking kids are in fucking school too. Millennial, right? What are we looking for? You got to have a personal brand. You got to have a fucking hustle. You got to have all these different things. Well, what are the kids saying that they want? They want a fucking brand as a DJ, as a whatever. They want a hustle as a fucking gamer. It's just we are parlaying our own fucking insecurities and keeping up with the Joneses, which is now digital instead of physical, onto our children. And I think I'm gonna this is correlation, not causation, but I'm gonna say it's probably a strong reason why where I thought at one time we were the most medicated generation. That's why I call our generation, I don't call ourselves millennials. I say we're generation RX, right? Because we were the holy hell of we are recording, although we're on one right now. Is that the medication usage from our age and younger is just growing precipitously. And I think it's because of the shit, our own fucking insecurities and weirdness and digital keeping up with the Joneses and this quest for importance and
it's not only that,
shit,
Matt,
external gratification.
I'll tell you what else happened. Why we're Generation RX. I was looking at what was prescribed prior to the 1990s, Matt, And you know what the difference was?
They used to prescribe salmon.
No SSRIs.
Yeah.
Okay? Because back before the 1990s, no such
They
thing as
prescribed
SSRI.
salmon and white rice if you had a fucking sickness. Now we give them fucking Advil and Mercury. That's good.
No.
Made that up.
How about the other
But
pink
the
meat?
whole point. Ooh, that actually would work even better, Matt.
Yeah,
Ryan,
I'm not-
that would
I'm
work
not
even
gonna lie.
better.
Huge fan
Yeah,
of
that would work.
pink tacos. Huge fan.
Yeah, serve them up. I mean, serve
Yeah,
them up.
I am,
I mean, that's
I am fucking Gordon Ramsay when it comes to fucking pink tacos.
well,
Put cheese on there if you want.
I'm a
No,
mukbang
because,
star.
yeah, because at one
Pac-Man.
time, Matt, weren't you called a lesbian? I just gotta bring that up.
Yeah, I am what I eat. It's fine.
Yeah, you were called a lesbian. So that I gotta bring that up. And yes, Eric, that too is that prior to the 1990s, there was no such thing as ADHD, because you know what it was called prior to the 1990s, Matt?
Psychopathy.
No.
Good.
That behavior meant that your parents needed to pull you to the side and put a belt across your ass. That's what ADHD was called prior to the 1990s.
Yeah, Sans, so Ritalin was a big one, right? And I remember in grade school, you would see a little bit of Ritalin, but when I was in high school, there was so much fucking Adderall. And I would say this started like freshman year, you heard about people having Adderall prescriptions, but by the time junior year rolled around, like there was so much Adderall in my school. And I went to a private high school where we got hair tested, and they would test back, they'd test you twice a year, 180 days back, right? So there were no like drugs per se. No one fucking smoked weed in my high school or whatever. It was now they did breathalyze us at every fucking school event because we were obnoxious drunks. In fact, we ranked number 1 in the state of Tennessee. We were number 2 in the nation for underage alcohol incidents. And boy, we wore that with a badge of pride. I mean, we were fucking real excited about that when that study came out. But that was when they started breathalyzing us at all the events. It pissed everyone off. But anyway, there was enough Adderall that every kid in the school could have fucking 10 Adderalls on them all day, every day. Like it was fucking everywhere. And it wasn't like anybody was selling or anything. It was like, hey man, you got any Adderall? And they would like fucking pull out their bottle and shake it in your hand like it's a fucking salt shaker. It was everywhere. And it wasn't just Adderall. It was fucking Paxil. It was fucking everything. It was just everywhere. It was everywhere.
That
then
is
as I
interesting,
got to
Matt.
college, freshman year of college, it was like that with fucking hydrocodones. I'll never forget. I had no idea. I had hernia surgery, and I remember I was prescribed pain medicine or whatever, but it never dawned on me that you could get fucking high on it. But then when I got to college, man, people had fucking straight out of the pharmacy, fucking 100, 300 tab giant
the bottle,
bottles.
The bottle of 1,000.
The
bottle of 1,000.
And man, they were shaking those fuckers. I mean, people were crunching those up and snorting them, and that was a huge fucking tablet, man. I mean, it is a big ass fucking tablet. That's a lot of powder to get up your nose. Trust me. Two of them, and boy, you were choking.
Here's the funny thing, Matt.
It was
Remember
2
now,
spoons of powder. It was you had to do half a fill at
that was a
time
lot
with your 2 spoons. It was a lot.
That was a
All
lot.
you had to do to
you
get
know what the funny
constipated was just do those.
No,
Luckily,
and you know what
I
the
got
funny
big
thing
lungs
is that,
to
Matt,
really huff it up there.
in my time, there was absolutely zero drugs. Zero. Okay? I mean, zero drugs of any kind. And you know what you were saying about the Ritalin? Maybe there was one kid in the entire school that was on Ritalin. And the reason why you know that kid was on Ritalin is because in the middle of the day, that kid would have to go to the nurse's office to take his Ritalin. Other than that, there was no drugs of any kind. None.
So it's interesting. Telly said Qelbree's what the kids are on now, which is an SNRI, right? Selective norepinephrine reuptake inhibitor.
Mm-hmm.
I'm interested. I'm going to have to look at the pharmacology on that. That was, I think, Effexor or Wellbutrin was an SNRI. Yeah, and
Yep.
a lot of people were on that. Good luck having an orgasm on those drugs, by the way. All right, we gotta get going. Don't ask me
Yeah.
how I know. Boy,
On that note,
you could fuck for a month and a half, nonstop.
Dang.
Just saying.
I
Didn't
have
affect
been-
erection quality. You could not come at all. Period.
Dang.
Yeah, you could destroy 3 or 4 roommates in a single night.
Lord.
Is this thing on? Please, God, turn this off. I do not need a record of that. I graduated.
Oh man, I mean, don't give anybody no ideas because yeah, because I've heard about the combination. Get this one, SSRI and TD5 inhibitor tablets coming out of Southeast Asia.
Honestly, I couldn't imagine combining
you-
tadalafil with that.
Or like the one that I see is like what is that? Yeah, the sildenafil and the and say duloxetine together.
Mm.
Okay, and
The short
what is
acting one. Make sure you don't.
yeah. So
don't fire off.
no, so
too
then
quick there.
yeah. So then that way, it's a good 4 hours. Good for who is negotiable though. Good for who is it's very negotiable.
all right. Well, you ready?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is DeMay back?
Yeah, DeMay's back.
Yep.
Okay.
And here's
As
Cue the
business
music.
owners, entrepreneurs, family men, it's difficult for us
This is
to
a hell of
find
a
the
pre-show.
time to put together projects like these. Even though it's something we really
Yeah.
want to do, unfortunately,
boys.
taking care of the things we have to take care of comes first. However, because of viewer support for people like you, we're able to continue doing this. Please consider joining our Patreon and supporting the Burn and Return podcast. You're listening to Burn and Return, a weekly 1-hour podcast covering news from the agricultural and turfgrass industries.
With the DJ Scratch, you know what that means. That means it is time to start the show. Welcome to another episode of Dum 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 Burn and Return. My name is Matt. Sometimes I go by the Grass Factor Martin. Alongside me, we have Ryan DeMay and Ray Ito. Between the three of us, we have, I don't know, a shit number of years in the green industry. We come from various sectors, lawn care, sports turf, construction, manufacturing, consulting. We pretty much have covered a significant chunk of the industry amongst our careers, and so we like to take a look at what's going on at a very macro global scale, and then circle its all spiralification to the micro scale of how these things affect your business on a day to day. You can check us out on all your favorite podcast apps, Spotify, the Boob Tube. What are the other ones? iTunes, Apple. I think they're the same thing. I don't know. We're on podcast apps.
Are we?
We are, and I'm going to shout.
Was
to
there
make it sound-
was there a period, or what was the correct punctuation there after you stopped?
It
'Cause you
was
just said
it was a
we're on
dash.
podcast apps. It was the old school Turfs Up Radio pause for effect,
It was,
and I'm like,
It
was this shit buffering again?
No, it's a semicolon. All right, that's all I got.
I don't know. Well,
Gentlemen,
that's it. That's good.
how are y'all doing today?
I know. I had a flashback there to when you used to do your solo show on Turfs Up Radio, and this was post Lizard Man, and I had upgraded to the 5G on purpose, out of spite for his dead rotting blown up corpse. And yeah, no, it was Downtown, Petula Clark,
Oh, yeah.
R.I.P.
I
if you
love
guys
that
don't know,
song. Okay.
I do. I'm
Well,
not
I
mad
love
about
that
that song
song.
too.
Okay.
yeah,
I mean,
it's a great song if you're completely sane and have better things to do on Christmas morning. I think is
yeah. That's
if you don't check
that's the
those
whole
boxes, you got a problem.
stay
You should probably
away.
see somebody.
Yeah,
Yeah.
stay away. No, get help. That's my advice is get some help because various people's what they say, it is true. It does get better, but then not like that.
Well, that and a pre-show we talked about a number of topics, very wide ranging, and one of the last topics that we did discuss was drugs. And I would have said that Lizard Man needed to be on a few of those, even the ones that prevented you from showing your the O face. So
To be honest though, I think that guy was so nuts. There was no amount of drugs that was going to bring him back. The guy,
listen,
he probably needed like IV Haldol or something to just stay in a catatonic state from
I
now until
lauded.
death. He was dying of cancer
Yeah.
anyway. I mean, Jesus, just put the guy out of
Yeah,
his misery.
yeah. Just put the guy into a happy place because
It doesn't even have to be
he
happy.
must have
Just
been.
out of reality.
Listen,
I don't know. For some people, not
Go ahead.
being in reality is happy for them. Not being in reality is happy, and
Fine.
for some people, I'm just saying.
Might be
If
me, I don't know.
if you are new to the show, there's a number of topics that we'll discuss, seemingly at random, and characters and or caricatures of people that we will bring up. Lizard Man, if you want to know more about him, just go check out the Nashville bombing of 2020 or 21. I can't remember which year it was. Guy that went in his Winnebago and decided to blow himself up in the middle of the street Christmas morning. And we like to rag on him because he didn't like 5G. He thought 5G was taking over the world. And we will talk about a lot of wide-ranging theories, conspiracy, and otherwise. And we don't really care for conspiracy theories too much, more so to the point that if you are using especially name brand aluminum foil to make your hat, if you're using Kroger brand, Publix brand, Albertsons, something like that, like maybe we'll give you a pass. But when you step up into Reynolds Wrap and the like, you are a certified crazy person. We really are going to make fun of you at that point, probably.
Yeah, unless it's Ray. Ray has one heavy metal he prefers. I like lead. It's kind of my thing. It deflects everything. Even the stupid can't penetrate lead. As a matter of fact, I just don't eat lead-based paint chips too often. Anyway, gentlemen, all right, so quick rundown of the show. We're going to cover some headlines, and we were actually going to call those headlines, and then we're going to get into some more spicier topics where we will definitely throw some jokes around, and that's going to be in our burns, and then we're going to summarize it with some good news, or at least an attempt to try and find some good news, because it's hard to find good news in today's climate. And we'll call those the returns. When we get any fan mail, we'll check the mailbag. It looks like it's empty right now, so we'll see how it goes. But our favorite segment that we have is going to be Joe Knows Turf. That'll be somewhere in the middle of the show. And, of course, you'll hear the sounder and the music for it, and you'll know. And I promise at that time, you should stop whatever you're doing, take your shirt off, and just get ready because, boy, it's going to get you excited. That being said, let's go and check out this week's headlines.
Nothing to fear here. This is just the news.
That is my attempt at comedic relief is when I said nothing to fear here. It's just the news because the news is designed to scare the holy shit out of you. But we have another story here about government is mad about private businesses here. And it starts like this. Iowa State auditor asked feds to block fertilizer plant sale. State Auditor Rob Sand. Can we get some information on Rob Sand? I'd like to learn a little bit more about his background. Has asked federal regulators
And
to
his
block
haircut. Terrible haircut.
That guy was in a not very fun fraternity. I'm going to go ahead and throw that out there. Koch Industries planned acquisition of OCI Global's nitrogen Iowa fertilizer plant in Lee County. In a January 30th letter to the Federal Trade Commission chair, Lena Khan and Assistant U.S. Attorney General Jonathan Cantor, who leads the Justice Department's antitrust division, Sand noted Tax incentives totaling some 550 million had been supported building the plant, which was pitched to taxpayers as a project that would encourage future competition and growth for the region. Scott Soroka highlighted the problematic sale in Bleeding Heartland Post last month. That article detailed how then Governor Terry Branstad's administration orchestrated a package including 300 million in federal tax giveaways related to flood relief program, 133 million in local tax abatements from Lee County over 20 years, and 112 million in state tax credits or forgivable loans. The auditor's letter argued that a sale to Koch Industries would likely increase fertilizer costs to farmers. It would also negate the original intent of the deal. The idea that Koch wouldn't own the new plant justified the massive commitment of tax dollars in the first place. Sand said he agreed with the comments Branstad made to reporters in 2013, asserting that the Koch brothers didn't want competition where Iowans want competition. Sand is the first Iowa statewide official to contact federal officials about the sale, which OCI Global announced in December. So anyway, I'm going to read a couple of the comments here. Rob Sand said, Governor Sand, for 15 years, the Republicans have neglected real problems, institutionalized religious dogma, and privatized essential services. Plus, they've hoarded tax money to feign excess taxation, then call for tax relief, which too many think benefits all, in reality, few, the rich. Reynolds' goal is zero income tax. Then another one says, I can see how he might have been part of the critiquing the initial package, including apparently not putting in safeguards to keep this from happening. It seems like something the feds should take a look at, but putting aside apparent political ambitions, as Gerald notes, seems like a reach that just feeds into the Republicans pointing to straying beyond his given role. So there's a couple of ways to look at this, and I think this is going to be the first note I make about it. And of course, it's going to require a little bit of a deeper digging into the story here. But okay, when you decide to take on a nitrogen fertilizer manufacturing plant, you are incurring a massive scale of a project, right? This is not a $10 million project. This is not a $100 million project. You're talking about a $550 million deal, because this is definitely a 10-figure kind of deal, right? So we're into the billions now when you're doing this kind of thing. So on top of that, you are operating a very, very intensive, highly specialized chemical process known as the Haber-Bosch method of production. I don't know specifically which technology they're using. If I recall correctly, and I could be wrong on this, so fact check me, call me an idiot if I'm wrong, but I do think they are using ThyssenKrupp, which is a German company's variation of their Haber-Bosch plant, which is supposed to be state of the art and all that fun stuff. But also, I know ThyssenKrupp does not have a lot of these in operation currently. So, what ends up happening is that you get into this and you have grand ideas, right? And a lot of those grand ideas is that, well, if you just spend money with the right people, with the experts of the industry, then good things will automatically happen. And unfortunately, what ends up happening is that you end up running into problems that you didn't account for that cost a lot of money to be able to solve. And then you're 8 years, 9 years, 10 years into the process, and you're still not turning an adequate profit to keep the doors open. So you're faced with two situations. You can either continue to borrow money to try and make the improvements to do it, or you can offload it and walk away and give it to someone who actually does know what they're doing, and that way you can avoid bankruptcy of the company, which would be ultimately a greater tax burden than selling it off and letting it remain operational. And really, is OCI going to be able to undercut Koch? Here's the thing. If they are able to undercut Koch with their manufacturing process, it would not necessarily be due to economy of scale. It would just be due to margins, right? So if you are doing that on a margin standpoint, let me tell you that on the commodity space, margins are pretty razor thin because you are manufacturing a commodity that's going to be even harder to dig yourself out of a hole, right? So a lot of this speak here and painting that it's bad, and this is just Koch increasing the fertilizer industry and the Koch brothers. I don't know if anybody knows this, but one of the Koch brothers is dead now, so the fact that they're still referring to them as the Koch brothers is a little weird. It sounds a little slanted otherwise, and I just don't necessarily buy that all of this is just Coke agglomerating power, taking advantage of tax incentives and blah, 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 blah. To me, it sounds like this is the wisest business decision that the owners and operators of OCI have to take in order to keep from walking away with absolutely nothing at the end of the day. Also, on the flip side of that is that it's going to keep local people who are employed. Because if they do go under, where are they going to go? It's not a good look, right? And so I don't know. There's a lot to unpack here, and I don't think we're going to be able to get it all in this one article. But I'm curious, gentlemen, when you hear this, what is your immediate response? Telly, to hell with the Grammys. Never watched
You
the Super
know,
Bowl.
never really, ever.
No, not once, never.
Whew.
Never for me
All right.
either.
All right.
We're
Okay.
broken. Right.
Yeah, we're broken for sure.
Just listen to Casey Kasem in the weekly top 40. He's dead too. The fact that there's politics involved here, it's playing up, I think, in a little bit of populism in that area between
Mhm.
Nebraska and Iowa, right? So Iowa, Chuck Grassley has been pushing that whole narrative that companies are basically gouging on price and things like that. So, admittedly, this here, I agree with you that there's a significant investment at play, and that the best thing that they can do is have somebody like Coke come in and take over and continue going forward here with a massive investment. But to sit there and say that this is something that needs to be looked at, I mean, there are, I think, larger issues at play within the fertilizer industry in a whole, and probably even within the state of Iowa, that are probably more impactful. But to sit there and say that this will unequivocally raise prices or increase prices, I don't know if that's necessarily the case. This seems to be a little bit
Unless
of
OCI
grandstanding.
was selling it below commodity, which
Well,
is
that's the other thing
unheard
too, is
of.
just not understanding the
Yeah.
other forces that are at play nationwide and worldwide, right, within the fertilizer market.
Right.
Ray, what do you
I
think?
mean, that's what I think is this is something that is basically Koch brothers is simply a symptom of a very large problem, because Koch brothers, to my knowledge, they're the only United States show that deals in nitrogen, right? They're the only show, because when I think of urea, for example, I'm thinking Koch brothers. When I think stabilized urea, I'm thinking Koch brothers. So then this sale or transfer is just a tip of the iceberg, because I have to ask now, why did only Koch brothers step up to make this sale? Why only them? Why nobody else? I mean, where is everybody else?
And that's a good point. So the other, all right, the number one producer is going to be CF Industries, right? The CF Industries is actually much larger than Coke. I do not know where all of CF Industries manufacturing is, and they may already have a pretty strong hold in Iowa as it sits. So the other thing too is that this is one of those greenfield nitrogen fertilizer facilities where they're doing also like green hydrogen and green methane, and I think a couple of other things that are going on there. Right, the sale was for $3.6 billion, and they do about 3.5 million metric tons of ammonia a year out of there. Right. Well, actually, that's going to be a combination of ammonia, urea, and diesel exhaust fluid. So that again, if they bought it for 3.6 billion, I'm going to say that's probably about the total cost of the project to bring this to life. I'm going through and I'm looking at the bond ratings for OCI Iowa, and they were not good. They're triple B minus. So the company was not in great great financial
health there. They were not in good
yeah,
financial health.
standing anyway. And
Wow.
I'm looking at some of the older values here of people talking about how with more investment they could do more good and blah 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 blah. So they were recently sued and lost a $62.5 million deal to a subcontractor at the plant during the build out. So again, there was a lot going on here that's at play rather than just the damn Koch brothers are libertarian and they're just trying to take over the world, even though one of them's dead. That's a very simple, easy thing to point at and rouse and ruffle feathers. But in reality, it's hardly ever that simple. There's a lot of things that go into place here. And when you have a business, what is the number one goal of the business? Return on investment. And if your return is not there, it does not make sense to operate your oh, look here, CF Industries previously bought OCI assets for $8 billion. So yeah, it looks like CF Industries and OCI have already done significant business on a globally together. So again, I think this is a lot of noise. I think this is what is this? What is this doofus's name? I can't remember his name. What is it?
Sand.
Rob Sand. I'm not gonna lie. He I think he's I think he's a sissy. All right, we'll check out the next one here. 6 fertilizer prices lead lower again. Again. Let me guess. Everything is super cheap now, right? Well, maybe not. DAP is coming in on a retail spot price of roughly $740 a ton, which we're not gonna lie, that is lower, and we're definitely down from 2022, but we are up on from 2023 currently where prices are with DAP. We have $809 a ton for MAP as a spot price. Potash for $509 a ton. That would be potassium chloride. We are still somewhere around $1,000 a ton on sulfate of potash right now. Urea retail spot price at $527 and hydrous ammonia at $770 a ton. UAN 28 at $335 a ton and UAN 32 at $390 a ton. DAP at 734 and 1034O at 610 a ton. So these are still up, from before we had the huge giant spike, about 80-90% from where it was. We'll say like over the previous 5-year average up to 2021, or we'll say 2020, the great COVID jump, right? But it does appear to be softening across the board at varying degrees, right? And that is a trend we want to see. Except for DAP. DAP isn't softening all that much, but hopefully urea will continue to soften. Again, this time last year we were at 708 a ton in spot retail. Now we're at 527. I will say I was getting barge prices the other day, and into the door, if you're 527 retail plus you got, it's going to be FOB. So if you're doing a truckload of urea, you're probably still going to be somewhere around $700-800 a ton bagged. Probably maybe 850 bagged if you're buying truckload quantities. If you're getting a truckload or less, I'd say you're probably still going to be somewhere around like $1,000 a ton. And if you do cheaper than that, you're doing really, really good. How about that? So just to put some numbers in your head there. Are y'all seeing anything significantly crazier or less than that?
No, I think that this is what we've seen in the market, and we've talked a little bit about this a few shows ago on Thursday, that the impact in the lawn care market is that, again, some folks are still holding inventory from maybe a little while ago where their cost basis is a lot higher, right? So if you're looking at your distributors and having conversations about products and things like that, maybe just be a little bit flexible and ask them if there's
Time's
something
up. It's
different
over.
they have at a different price point that they brought in here more recently when prices started to soften.
I don't know if anybody has been watching what has been going on in France. In fact, I in the Discord I put up a live stream of people storming the EU Parliament. They weren't necessarily storming it, but the farmers in the EU are not happy at all. And the reason why is this 2030 crackdown from the WEF, which they had no vote in. And again, so many of these things are being promised, and regulations are being proposed without really any vote, even though we live in supposedly these democratic societies. But remember, we should trust the people who are in the know and stop asking questions. Stop doing your own research, because there are smarter people out there that do research and they'll make the decisions for us. Well, the farmers took pretty big offense to that, right? And so they said, you know what? We're going to go ahead and we're going to bring all our equipment up there. We're going to rip up some roads along the way, and we're going to have a big bonfire in the courtyard at the European Union Parliament building, and we are gonna make it rain manure. And boy, oh boy, did they ever! And it was, I'm not gonna lie, it was wild as shit to watch today, and it's interesting. Again, I think there is without a doubt, and I'm gonna sound like an industry simp here, and that is 100% okay. I'll die on this hill, but the amount of progress that has been made in agriculture over the last 10 years, 10 years ago, no till or limited till, reduced till was just, you hardly heard it, right? It was fringe, right? If you did no till, you were considered like regenerative ag. Okay. Now it
However,
is like a part of strategy that people look at today, and they start playing around with it on different plots of lands. Where does it work? Where does it not work? And in fact, we have a lot of published data now that shows where we're getting good degrees of accuracy or we're getting a negative return on investment by doing it, right? So we've made great strides in that space. I think the same thing when we start looking at the pounds of active ingredient in the types of products we're using. No one is going out and spraying atrazine 7 times a year, right? It's kind of a thing of the past. Is glyphosate usage up? Yes, but because we have glyphosate tolerant crops now, right? So it makes sense. And people are like, well, it's glyphosate, it's poisoning everybody. One, go fuck yourself if that's what you want to do. And in fact, if you're an anti-glyphosate person, I promise you, we'll have you on the show. You can come on, bring whatever impactful data you want, and we'll have at it. We will have actually a genuine
please.
conversation. We're not going to yell at you.
Yeah, we're not going to yell because
impact right now. It's not reality.
Because Matt, I invite people that have an objection to glyphosate to come on and talk with us, because out of all three of us, I think I am the most familiar with the world before glyphosate. Okay, I know that world, and holy cats. I mean, that world before glyphosate was horrifying, to say the least. And, Matt, I had an interesting conversation with somebody about farming and agriculture in general this morning. Okay? And that conversation had to do with how grasslands and hayfields are managed in the EU. And what I pointed him to is that in the EU, the way they need to manage their grasslands and hayfields to remain agronomically productive is every year or two, they got to rip down those fields, re-sow it with new seed, and fertilize the hell out of those fields. Whereas here in the United States, and this is something that I'm involved in, how do I manage a grazed area, Matt? It's with controlled grazing. No, controlled grazing. And you're not wrong, because my weapons of choice are aminopyrrolid, triclopyr, and metsulfuron methyl and dicamba. Those are my weapons of choice.
And how
Whereas
much of that
in
is
Europe,
related to land area versus okay, explain, give us a quick one over why Europe does it that way.
the reason why Europe does it that way is all those things that I just mentioned for grazed area management and vegetation management on grazed areas are illegal in the EU.
That's a
You
problem.
may not apply.
Hmm.
You may not apply aminopyrrolid. You may not use triclopyr. You may not use dicamba. You may not use metsulfuron methyl if you needed it for vegetation management in a grazed area. Your only recourse is to rip down that pasture, resow it, and then here's the thing that to me is the most counterproductive. In order to get that pasture back up and in production, what do you got to do to that pasture? You got to pound that pasture with nitrogen and phosphorus to get the grass to grow back fast enough.
You got to get your protein
So-
counts up.
Yeah, you got to get your protein. And so, what my point is that when the EU went hard after the pesticides back in 2000, this is the side effect that they created. And you know what horrifies me is that, okay, they went after the pesticides in 2000, and now in current times, they're going after the fertilizer now. So, what are these growers and producers supposed to do? Oh, I know the answer to that is that you've got these pencil dicks in the WEF that are now telling everybody don't have any more
Klaus
meat.
Schwab will
Yeah,
dictate
don't have any more meat.
how we will operate.
Don't have any more eggs. Don't have any more milk. You will eat the bugs and enjoy it. Get
You
fucked.
will own nothing, and you will enjoy it. DeMay, be a voice of reason here or not, but by all means, when you saw what was going on in Paris today, did your heart flutter with excitement, or were you like, ugh? What was your initial reaction?
I mean,
I was
I'm a
cringing
voice-
personally. I was personally cringing, Matt.
Oh
That
God,
act-
I was cheering. I stood up on the chair.
No,
and I was
no,
like,
for me,
"Fuck
I was
yeah."
horrified because I know what it means when a farmer gets to the point where he's willing to risk arrest, seizure of assets, and imprisonment. I know where he's at when he's at that point. I mean, it's a pretty low point. You got to agree, right?
Yeah.
Because, guys, this is what I call an insurrection. Okay? This is what I call an insurrection. What American people think is an insurrection, no, no, no. That was just a short-term demonstration. What's going on in the EU right now that is an insurrection. Make note of that. Don't call what is not an insurrection an insurrection. Stop
We
it.
play fast and loose on language in the U.S. now. But DeMay, when you see, are you like are you cringing? Do you think at this point there are reasonable solutions that people are going to walk away and be like, okay, we can work with this?
I think there are. I just think that I didn't cringe. I wasn't cheering. I found myself asking more questions. Right? Like,
Sure.
okay, what is it going to take for the farmers, right, to understand that there is an elected official or a group thereof that is willing to listen to what I have to say, right? That's going to represent me and my interest, and not necessarily just say, hey, doesn't matter what you have to say, doesn't matter what's going on in your industry, your life, your livelihood, we're out, right? And to be something so foundational to society, such as agriculture, like that just what's it going to take for them? And on the same side, on the elected side, it's like hopefully you'll realize that these people are serious and they're not nutbags per se, right? Yeah, so they're expressing themselves in a really weird and forward-facing way, absolutely, but they need to
Yeah,
get people's
farmers.
attention. They need to get I just think they need to get people's attention, and
Yeah.
they're clearly doing that. So, if there is some reasonable discourse to be had, I think it's at a center around, okay, if you, uh, have a better solution than just an outright ban across the board, or even taking, certain products that there is no backup for, right? Or there is no pivot to go to. This is what we have to do,
Mhm.
right? Why are we not
Ryan?
incentivizing the activities we just talked about before the show about research and development and things like that? Why are
Mhm.
we not incentivizing the activities for us to move forward as opposed to just saying, "Hey,
However,
on and buy"?
the issue is not about a pesticide ban. The issue is centered around they first banned most pesticides back in year 2000, right?
Right. Mhm.
But now what we've been talking about since 2020 are the looming bans on fertilizers. I mean, that's what's next. You see, they first took away the pesticides, and okay, the growers adapted. All right. However, remember what I'm always saying about unintended consequences.
Mhm.
Because to me, Ryan, if I were looking at things very holistically, is I would give these producers the tools that they need to manage their land in a less energy wasteful manner. And to me, ripping down a pasture, resowing it, and having to feed it back up every year or two, that is so damned wasteful. Okay, that is wasteful to me. That you got to do that because, like on the kind of lands that I manage, there is no resowing, there is no fertilizing. That land just is sustained and maintained, but the way it's sustained and maintained, unfortunately, to the EU is there are a few ounces of herbicides per acre involved in order for that to be a sustainable system. But what it is the EU has basically, via their mandates or their proposed mandates, they're going to make it such that modern agriculture as we know it is just not going to happen in the EU. And
You know,
that's the crux of the matter.
I think, we were talking about the culture war before the show, and I think, there is in the vein of that populist kind of uprising we see on both the right and left, and yes, there is left wing populism as well too. Is that our a lot of our declining health issues in the United States related purely on or related purely to agriculture, and there are very, very large factions on both the right and the left that think that modern agriculture is killing us all and it needs to be revamped and it needs to be done a very specific way, even though these people that have that in mind do not understand the land requirements that it would take to do that. And unfortunately, it's just not. It doesn't work. It legitimately will not work in a lot of the proposed ways that are put out there because there are a lot of people in the world that do need to eat to survive, right? So if your goal is to let people intentionally starve to death, then sure, yeah, we can make everything regenerative and it'll be a fully rotational crop system where you have animals that graze land and shit.
100%
You
organic.
seed into it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and by
Yeah.
all means, we can do it, and
100%.
everyone will
Yeah.
die, and
Yeah.
we'll
No.
be happy for it, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
No inputs. And that is I think that subconsciously, at least, the people that are rising up have come to the realization that, goodness me, these bastards want us all dead.
I mean,
Okay?
and I don't exactly like you said, subconsciously. I don't think it's like a conscious goal, but And I think you see this on both of these factions, right? That if we just return to nature, everything is going to rectify. Well, I don't know if anyone ever played Oregon Trail, but it was returning to nature is a very very gruesome and heartless and
Brutal.
emotionless,
It's brutal. I mean,
and it only ends one way: you die, right? And I
yeah.
don't know if people put that into context, but all life, literally all life, is finite. We all die, right? And so we can either streamline our path to death, or we can utilize modern tools, research, science, technology to try and create roadblocks along that path to death, which we are all riding as we speak, right? And it's odd that now modern agriculture has been painted as the path to death, which actually is the only reason that we have been able to exist this far into into the world, because we would have gone extinct a long time ago if it weren't for the advancements in modern agriculture. So anyway, it's a thing.
Matt,
Okay,
I
that's
have a little observation too. I have a little
was that.
observation too about the people that are, pushing this Malthusian dystopian fantasy. You know what my impression of those people are? A lot of them, they look kind of anorexic. Like they don't eat.
Yeah, and again, lifestyle decisions when you work indoors, behind a screen, 8 hours a day, and then you come home and you spend the rest of your time under the light, under your roof, indoors, and the only time you go outside is an hour a week on a Saturday, or just the time you spend in your car to and from different places. Then I could see where your brain literally is going to start to rot. It doesn't. It's not going to function. One thing we were talking about this earlier today. There is something about spending time outside that creates a lot of perspective, and I think that is a great shock and reset back into the fragility of being a human. And if you're not experiencing that, then a lot of times it can be easily dissuaded into these utopian type systems of regenerative
Fantasies, yeah.
agriculture or whatever. Yeah, exactly.
Hmm.
Okay. Real quick, sponsor read. I want to plug this real quick. They're not a sponsor of the show or anything like that, but my friend Mikey over at Gain Trust, that is one of the he is my weightlifting coach. And one of the things he said today kind of registered with me is that a lot of times people get into fitness because shit is going wrong, and so they pour a lot of effort into it, and it becomes their crutch when they're dealing with whatever it is they're dealing with. And then when things start going good, they forget about the fitness aspect because everything's good now, and so therefore that energy that they had directed into it to overcome whatever hardship they face has been rectified. Therefore, that phase has moved out. I just want to make a point to say is that 96% of us that listen to this are men, and the 4% that are women. I think the message is universal and applies to everybody. Is that health and prioritizing your health is not a time just. There is no endpoint, right? You don't get healthy and then you magically just stay there. It's a lifestyle. It's something that you have to do day in and day out and adopt it. And if it becomes a part of your lifestyle, that is the ultimate goal, right? And there's 110 different ways to do this. Obviously, I like Mikey because he shit stalks me, and he tells me things like, you know what, you're not lean enough, you're not jacked enough, and you're not tan enough. And when you want to be a man, by all means, I'll help you get there. And I like it when people talk to me that way because I don't know, it's things like that that motivate me, right? I like it when people tell me, nope, you can't do that.
You
right?
are a fucking pussy.
Exactly. It gives me a hard on, and I just pour into it. So anyway, I just want to put out there. I appreciate that post from Mikey because I know, even myself included, when the times are good, right? You start forgetting about what your priorities are. You re-alter your priorities, and it's easy to make cuts because I'm doing okay, right? Well, it's a quick way to fall back into a decision making process where things aren't okay anymore, and then it becomes a circular economy of sorts of a negative feedback loop. Okay, that's out of the way. Thanks, Mikey. Love you. Gain Trust. You can check out the Discord server, gaintrust.io. Check them out. Get jacked, get swole. get tan. There's ways to do that. In fact, it involves being out in the sun. It's interesting. In fact, if you look at the three of us, as summer starts rolling around, we will inadvertently be a little bit tanner on the back of our necks, our scalps, because DeMay and I both have hair showing. I mean, skin showing on the top up there. And then of course Ray is Asian, so he's always going to be darker than us. But you know, it is what it is. Anyway, let's check
However,
out this
Matt,
week's.
I am a little bit on the lighter side for an Asian, though.
This is true.
I'm a little bit on
This
the
is
lighter.
true.
Yeah, I'm a little bit on the lighter
My
side. I mean, that's
my
just
kids are half Japanese, and typically when they come back from my parents' house in Florida for the summers, they you cannot tell if they're Latino or Asian or all the above. And I think that's why all their kids are Latinos. It's funny because my son tells us about when he was in younger grades, all his friends in school all thought he was Latino, and they were really weirded out when they saw his
cool.
mom was Asian. Anyway, DeMay, let's check out this week's Joe Knows Turf.
Yikes.
Joe knows turf. Hi, I'm Joe. I'm gonna give you a bunch of accurate turf facts today because
Joe knows turf.
All right. For those of you just joining the program, Joe Knows Turf is a segment where we are sent in a variety of social media posts and YouTube videos in which people will do things that maybe they could do them just a little bit better. And we're here to coach them. And maybe they're doing them so badly that we need to literally motherfuck them the entirety of this segment in hopes that it'll get their attention, or one of their fanboys will climb in our comments and tell us how we're ruining the lawn care YouTube community one video at a time.
And we're
for
being
that,
mean,
sir,
Ryan.
I thank you.
We're being
Thank you.
mean. Yeah.
Humbly and deeply. Very deep. All right. In fact, I've rearranged your guts. All right. Now, let's go ahead and dive into this video, gentlemen. This was entitled, let me see if I make sure I get the fertilize your lawn with the lawn smoothie. Okay. The lawn smoothie. I don't think I've ever heard that term before. Don't
I'm
know
cringing,
what it
Ryan.
really is. I don't know what it is. Maybe we're gonna
I'm
mix up
already cringing.
bananas and apples and guava juice and semen. Put it on the lawn.
I told somebody what my idea of a smoothie was, and they recoiled in horror.
Ray, you're supposed to boil the haggis, not grind it up in the blender.
Well,
Right.
I told them my usual is half and half with a cup of whey protein.
What the fuck?
That's my idea of a smoothie.
It's thick. Extra thick. All right, let's play the video.
Ooh, look at them stripes, and the sun isn't even hitting it. That is looking good. All right, so let's go hit up the smoothie bar. We're gonna pull everything out, and then I'm gonna show you what I put in my weekly mix of fertilizer, so you guys can go ahead and do this.
Can we go back for just a second here, please? Can we see what's behind his left shoulder? Oh, there's a little spot right there behind his left shoulder. I don't know what that is. If that's just where the mower got turned around or what?
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
a little mower blip.
Or a little scalpage, a little blip. Okay,
A little
very
more
good.
scalp. Yeah.
No, I'm looking at his lawns in the background here. Obviously, the one behind him has been scalped to holy hell. But if you look in the background, blue
Yeah.
again over his left shoulder in the far background, blue garage doors. I can see there's some decent color out there, right? So
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd say an
Now,
irrigation
and-
issue probably. So, all right, let's play.
I'm gonna show you what I put in my weekly mix of
it is all
fertilizer,
looks good.
so you guys can go ahead and do the same thing.
What is on the grass? Look at this. It's outside the
it's-
garage door. What is that?
Yeah, it looks like synthetic turf. A roll of synthetic turf there, and then
No. Look next to the driveway. What is that in the grass?
oh, that looks like
Is that
tenacity.
Yeah.
Lighten up a little tenacity. That's a nice camper back there. I think that camper might be a little too big for that truck in the background of his neighbor's place.
It is. I'd sleep in it though. I'm not gonna lie.
You can't even see the taillights in that stuff.
That's the boom room. I couldn't stand up in it, but it might hold me. I'm 6'4", so if I laid diagonal, I could probably fit in it there.
That's when you tag in. You call all time bottom. It's
Truck
cowgirl.
better have
Cowgirl.
good suspension. I'll tell you that.
You have to put it up on blocks for stability. All right, so Homeboy has a lot of jugs, a lot of spill and fills. He's got a lot of half gallons here, some big jugs, some small jugs. It's basically like going to a strip club right now. Okay, so let's see what he's gonna do here. Pause.
1, 2.
It's like it's like choose your own adventure. When you go into the strip club, they've got 3 different rooms. There's titties, tits, and then there's toddies. Ray, you better have a pneumatic floor jack and a couple of jack stands if you're going to the toddies room. That's all I'm gonna say. Okay, let's move on.
You need a Class A RV on that one. 2, 3.
Hazmat and air brakes to stop those things.
Battery.
I just want to say thank you to all the subscribers out there and everybody who is not a subscriber and is watching this. What are you doing? Just hit that button. Super easy. If you like what you see today, just smash that button for me. We have plenty of more good stuff coming your way.
Everyone who doesn't watch our show to subscribe. So I don't know. Maybe you'll get one more.
Lawn renovation. I might have a second lawn renovation. We will see. But I hope you guys all enjoy it. I hope you guys.
This guy's really happy,
Ultimately,
and I am glad to see that.
Mine are better. Yeah, I hope you guys enjoy it. Smash that
He's
like
got
and
there's a
subscribe
lot of
button. Really
tenacity
helps
in that
me
side
out.
yard. It's good.
Dang. Yeah, look at this. All right, let's go grab this lawn smoothie.
Suckers at the base
All
of
right,
the tree
guys,
there?
so we are going to get our mix
Okay,
ready
here we
to
go.
First thing first, I get a bucket and I fill it a little bit with some hot water because the first thing that we're going to
If
put
he
in
uses a drill
is some
to agitate
equalizer,
this.
18, 18, 18.
Look at
Let's
that.
do a little triple 18. Look at
goes down
this.
4 to 8 ounces per 1,000 square feet, so we're going to do about 10,
I know what that
so a
does.
little bit over 1,000 here.
I know a little bit about that. I may or may not be the person behind that.
The reason why I do hot water
If
is
you
because
know,
it's
you
a
know.
water-soluble fertilizer.
You know,
we want to
you
make sure
know.
that it dissolves into the mixture and doesn't clog our
That's it.
backpack
I love
drains.
this
So
guy.
really, the
He's
hot
great.
water Definitely helps it out. 10 ounces there. From there, we're going to do GS Plant Foods Root Ruckus.
Oh,
This is 4 to 6
don't do
ounces.
this. Don't do this.
Brown water.
Yeah, let me
All I got
look
left
at
Brown
that.
water.
Exactly enough. Dump that in the bucket. Next up, we're going to do Turf Titans Lawn Advancer. This again, 4 to 6 ounces.
Turf Titan Lawn Advancer.
And I'm not sponsored by the bucket. Next up, we're going to do Turf
Okay.
Titans Lawn Advancer. This again, 4 to 6 ounces. And I'm not sponsored by any of these products. I have nothing to them. I will link products down below so you guys can grab them if you want. But I'm not sponsored by any of these products. As you can see, I'm going to be using a mixture of different brands, different products, everything from here to there. So I have no allegiance to anybody. Next up, Turf Titans Lawn Commander. Again, another 4 to 6 ounces per 1,000.
Lawn Commander.
Turf Titans Lawn Striper, because I need that iron to make sure the nylon is dark and green, dominates everybody in
Turf
the neighborhood.
Titan
This again is to be
Lawn
another 4 to 6
Striper.
ounces per 1,000 square feet. So that was most of our macronutrients with the exception of the iron. Next, we're going to kind of get into our micros, the things that are going to help us beneath the soil level. So first of which, hydrotain.
Giving it.
Just helps keep moisture in,
microbes.
less water,
What?
everything that's going to kind of help down below the soil level. Hydrotank goes down at 9 ounces per 1,000.
Oh no.
Oof.
Oh no.
Next,
Might
we
as well
have
put the
Green
whey
County
propane.
Fertilizers Air 8. This goes down at 6
Oh,
ounces
no.
per 1,000. This just helps your soil from getting compacted. Last thing you want is a compacted soil.
With the triple
I
18?
need to do a pH test. Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I need to do a pH test and see how compatible those are. First off, there's a lot of shit going into this that is redundant, and we'll go over the labels here in a minute. But
What's
Well,
he's got a couple other
I
things.
got a big no-no.
Yeah.
I got a
Yeah,
big
what-
no-no. I got a
hang
big
on,
foul
let him
that this
keep-
man is
let him
committing.
keep adding to this because I got a feeling
Yeah,
it's
let-
not going to get better, Ray.
Let's see what's all in the kamikaze here.
Soil. We're going to put 6 ounces in here.
I know Matt's had a kamikaze before.
Green County Fertilizers RGS is basically root growth. So again, this is going to be at 3 ounces per 1,000. Just another great product to use
am a
for
kamikaze.
below your soil level. And then lastly, some Humic 12. This goes down
Oh.
at 3 to 9 ounces
Wow.
per 1,000. Again, from
Wow.
Green
That's a
County
lot.
Fertilizers.
Hydrotane.
As you guys can see, I put just about anything that I
Aerate.
can into this mix. This goes down weekly. So like I
RGS.
said, I'll put everything
man.
down in the description below. We're gonna go ahead and mix this up, get this into our container, and then get it on the lawn.
1, 2, 3,
the last
4,
thing I like
5,
to do.
6,
take
7.
this paddle mixer.
He's doing it.
Buddy, I was already struggling with you, but let me tell you, with the paddle mixer, I can't.
Mix it up inside the bucket before I put it into the pump sprayer. All right, let's get it in.
I hope he decants that.
Now we're gonna top
Nope.
off our water.
Pours all the way in.
This water's
I
got
really want to know how much.
All right, guys. Now that
sediment
everything's
is at the
mixed up,
bottom
let's
of
go ahead and
this
get it on the
piece.
lawn.
Oh,
suckers are
Oh, holographic.
so
All right, guys. So that's now down.
Matt,
Now nothing to do. But
you notice
wait,
something?
but, you know, it's
He
important
had to switch tips probably because his fan tip clogged.
Yeah.
He had to go to those twin hollow
Yeah,
cone
to
nozzles
pull up.
because his
Yeah.
fan tip went eat.
fertilize your lawn at least once a month.
JP,
If
can you
really-
go back just to highlight that? Go back to when he first starts spraying. A little bit more. So right here, if you look, he's using a single nozzle. Okay.
A fan tip,
you know,
a single fan
Yep.
tip.
Come forward a couple clicks. Yep.
yep, he's got the double.
You see the
Ah.
dual nozzle there. Okay. Why that's important. All right. We'll go over this now. Right. So he added root ruckus, which is humic acid. Okay. It's just humic acid. With a little bit of kelp, right? So this is root ruckus is RGS. He also added RGS just to double up. I don't know why. He isn't really sure either. The root ruckus does have some mycorrhizae fungi in it. Good luck. You're not going to foliar apply that and have any infections. But it's if it makes you feel good, there you go. He also had the 1818, which is an 18-18-18, and chelated micronutrients, right? So it's going to cover pretty much all your bases there. Then he has the Lawn Advancer, which is a 277. This is an interesting product here, right? So it has 2% nitrogen, 7% phosphate, 7% potash, and then it has a whiff of chelated manganese and zinc, but it says on the label that it has 7% manganese and zinc total, but only 0.02% is chelated manganese and 0.5% is chelated zinc. And it doesn't list the sources of those ingredients on the label. So this label would never pass at all any labeling law ever. AFCO would look at this and be like, what the fuck is this? So anyway, this is a really, really strange product. And then we have Lawn Commander. Okay. So Lawn Commander is a 2003 derived from urea ammonium nitrate, a whiff of ammonium sulfate. I mean, an absolute whiff, because they do not even claim sulfur on the label, which again, you can't put ammonium sulfate on the label if you're not going to claim sulfur on the package, right? If it has ammonium sulfate and you don't want to claim sulfur on the label, then you have to leave ammonium sulfate off the label. So that again, more bad labeling here. This would never ever pass. So I have no idea what in the fuck is going on here.
What's going on? Yeah.
It has more chelated iron. It has more chelated manganese, more chelated zinc. And then he has Lawn Striper. And so I'm sure this one's going to be wildly different here. Nope, it is UAN. They don't even list all of their ingredients. Oh, but it does have a glucoheptanate iron, 6% glucoheptanate.
Stop, Matt. Stop right there. Because
Yeah.
glucoheptanates and phosphorus will turn into a brick. I'm sorry, but that's what happens.
Yeah, and after you would have to dilute that so far in order to keep it from completely bricking up. But what it will do is that you'll get what looks like salt grains in the bottom of your mix tank when you mix those two, right? So just to
Mm-hmm.
make sure that now we've got products that are not compatible with one another, we really want to make sure it continues to stay that way. Don't forget, we've still got Humic 12 in there. We've got RGS, but we kind of covered that because we did the Root Ruckus too. So those are just redundant products. But then we add Air 8. Air 8 is basically just a little bit of Leonardite with some a higher concentration of uh, uh, potassium hydroxide in there. So that's going to be a very high pH product. Remember all those micronutrients that were being put in? Guess what? EDTA chelates, glucoheptanate chelates, all the other shit does not like. It does not like a high pH.
High,
I'll say this:
yeah,
the
high
triple
pH.
18 is a fairly. We try our best to formulate that in such a way to remain acidic in solution to protect the micronutrients. And there's a lot of hoodoo that goes into that to make that a reality from a formulation perspective, and
Mm-hmm.
it's not cheap to do that either. As a matter of fucking fact, and it's frustrating because you have to compete against people like Peters, but um, anyway, that's what we do just to as an added layer of security. I will tell you the buffering capacity of that fertilizer is nowhere great enough to overpower potassium hydroxide, especially if you've got the concentration to reach 5 units of potassium in it and to have a pH of 10 plus. Yeah, the
No,
fertilizer is
not
not
going to
going to catch us.
happen.
So again, you got to think though, right? Micronutrients are typically included in what, 0.5%, 1%. Here we got the glucoheptanate at 6%. That's already reacted out with the phosphorus, so that's done. So whatever did remain that is compatible with phosphorus, EDTA is compatible with phosphorus, now has been oxidized into a hydroxide, overpowering the EDTA chelate. So not only did we lose that, we lost our micronutrients too. So, in effect, what we're applying now is nitrogen, still probably a good chunk of phosphorus, maybe half of it, and potassium. So, good job, guy. You
There's one
were
more thing,
so
Matt. One more
what's
thing
that?
where he fucked up.
Yep.
Okay, hydratane. Hydratane is something that will most likely, given the salt content of that solution, that will probably separate out into the parent esters and alcohols because
Oh, especially if you start adding KOH to it.
no, actually the KOH will help keep it saponified, but the problem
You think it
is
will?
that
Mm.
yeah, all of that UAN, that ammonium nitrate, that
Mhm.
ammonium nitrate will take apart that surfactant and it'll take it apart fast.
Mm.
So I don't know. I mean, this just seems to me like he would have been miles ahead if he actually just stuck with the 18, 18, 18 and called it a day. I think he would have been miles ahead.
Yeah, and if he's really gummed up on doing something soil positive, do the root ruckus or the humic 12 or RGS. You don't have to combine all of it. It's so redundant.
Yeah.
Again, I have zero problem with hydratane. I've talked about using it before. I can't say it's the first thing I would run and grab, but I have used a lot of it with seeding and never had any issue with it. But again, we're talking about surfactants here. Surfactants are soap-like materials to reduce surface tension, and so you typically want to apply those by themselves, right? When you start mixing salts with those materials, that
It's
you
a
don't necessarily get a positive result.
yeah, they don't play well because the strongly ionic fertilizer will literally cause the surfactants to break. Don't ask me how I know, because I made
Yep.
oil slick. I made oil slicks in my sprayer before, thinking I'm gonna kill two birds with one stone and put out my wetting agent with my liquid fertilizer application. Bad move, Ray. Don't do that. Just saying.
DeMay, you found a doozy here. The lawn smoothie was so aggressive, it ended up negating itself.
I think the message there is not everything belongs in the smoothie, right?
huh.
No.
Variety is the spice of life. So, keep your fertilizers separate from your other materials, if at all possible. Just makes it a little bit easier like that, right? And
Mhm.
your iron apps can go solo. That usually helps if you don't know what you're doing. And I
Yep.
again, not beating the guy up. I'm just trying to make it easier for him. So while it's nice and it's seems efficient to throw all that stuff in the tank, are you really gaining anything if nothing or very little of what is in that tank actually has any efficacy? So there you are. Uh, yeah, we'll have to try again next week and see what we can. But you know what we can do right now is we can take it to another depth of hell. Let's check out those burns.
I almost forgot about the burns today. Thank you for crushing me. I was beginning to have an optimistic outlook after that. No, I'm just kidding. We have a phenomenal article here in House Digest by none other than Rachel Milagrito, and we should take a look at her. She is a beautiful Filipino lady, and her area of expertise is DIY cleaning hacks, budget friendly hacks. She has an experience for writing that she developed during her teenage years, but set it aside to concentrate on her academic pursuits. The pandemic in 2020 provided her the opportunity to revisit her writing aspirations while taking a break from her dual roles as an occupational therapist and college professor. Smart too. Prior to becoming part of the Home Digest team, she had already made her mark by publishing over 1,000 articles on various topics. Excellent. Okay. So this one here should be extra spectacular. What is it? Is Coca-Cola really the secret to a greener lawn? Oh boy. If you're in need of a quick pick me
Lord.
up, cracking open a nice cold bottle of Coca-Cola can provide that refreshing jolt. Interestingly, you're not the only one that could benefit from Coca-Cola. Did you know that some also recommend Coca-Cola for your lawn? The presence of nutrients like oxygen. Are we really going here? Are we really going here? Oxygen,
Yep.
hydrogen, carbon, sulfur, sodium, potassium, and phosphorus in carbonated drinks like Coca-Cola is believed to be beneficial for foliage health. Additionally, these components can contribute to achieving a deep, lush green lawn. Another suggested advantage of using Coca-Cola is its role in pest control. The sugar content in soda is believed to attract ants, which in turn feed on the larvae of garden pests without affecting the plants. Chris Bonnet, founder of Gardening Express, also tells Express if you have some spare or flat Coca-Cola, this is a great alternative to weed killers. He also noted that the high sugar content can significantly benefit compost piles. However, he reminds us that these drinks should only be used in moderation since too much can kill plants. But using Coca-Cola or any lawn tonic that has an ingredient is a lawn fertilizer hack that you really don't want to replicate. While Coke and other carbonated drinks are a great source of elements and minerals that are good for grass, the benefit is negated by their high sugar content. The sugar content can help prevent plants from absorbing water and nutrients, resulting in their death. You can also pull water out from the plant roots due to osmosis and attract microbes that are harmful to plants. Watering your lawn with
What?
Coca-Cola also poses risk of fungal infections and other diseases. To add, while spraying Coca-Cola or a lawn tonic may attract ants to your lawn, which can be beneficial, it can also inadvertently bring unwanted pests. Instead, experts recommended using carbonated water like club soda because it contains high concentration of nutrients without the sugar. Okay, this is a garbage article, sweetheart. I have no doubt about it that you're smart, and I'm really pleased that you're an occupational therapist and you do great work for children. But next time you want to write an article like this, call us. We will help you. Okay, we would love to help you because this is garbage, and I get it, right? It has I can't remember all the preservatives in Cokes, but I'm sure there's going to be, sodium hexametaphosphate or whatever else that, they put in there. And so, yeah, you're going to see those things in
Coca-Cola
there.
has a high concentration of actual phosphoric acid, and that's what gives Coca-Cola its
acidic.
tartness. Yeah, that's why it's
Yep.
acidic. There's a significant amount of phosphoric acid. However, here's where it gets interesting because Coca-Cola also contains a lot of sodium salts. So you're basically putting on something that has a lot of sodium salts with some phosphoric acid. And this is also why it is true that Coca-Cola can be used to remove rust because that phosphoric acid is probably one of the most aggressive rust removers I know of.
Yeah, it is. Again, sodium on turfgrass. Sodium is not one that I think about when I'm trying to plan what kind of nutrients I want to account for in an application. I've never thought to myself, maybe I should sprinkle in, I don't know, 100 parts per million or 200 parts per million of sodium chloride here, just to make sure I give it a good burn on the skin, on the leaf there. And the other things like oxygen, hydrogen, and carbon. Where's the carbon come from? The sugar, the carbon dioxide that's dissolved in it, right? You're getting a little fluffy there. Where's the hydrogen and oxygen come from? The water, the H2O in it. Come, listen. You're not pulling the wool over our eyes, Miss House Digest author lady. The next one here, DeMay, can you please spec a grow in using Coca-Cola and
I will.
tell us
Actually, what I was hoping that I could do is transport myself back to 1996, and I would actually spec Pepsi, and I would use all the Pepsi points to buy that trip to meet Cindy Crawford. 1996 Cindy Crawford.
Ooh, yep.
Man,
That's what I would do.
that is the
Give me them
pinnacle.
Pepsi points.
Yeah.
We have a bill out of Idaho. Man, the I states are really on one that would deem a pesticide label sufficient as a warning. So existing regulations that apply to a pesticide's label would be sufficient to satisfy any requirement for a warning about the safety of the product if legislation in Idaho passes. Senate Bill 1245 introduced by the Commerce and Human Resources Committee says any warning requirement would be met by the US EPA registration under the FIFRA. Registration and labeling already take into account the most recent health assessments performed under the Federal Act or EPA carcinogenic classifications according to the bill. Pesticide labeling is regulated by the state and federal laws under FIFRA. California required products that contain glyphosate to have warning labels that imply chemical causes cancer. The Ninth U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals barred the state from imposing that requirement. What we're seeing around the country is lawsuits being filed. It is an effort to basically squash through litigation our ability to grow food. If the legislation passes, it would basically say the warning label is enough. It's not going to stop all lawsuits, nor does it intend to, but the warning label on it should be sufficient to stop some of these lawsuits. Instances of pesticide overspraying and drifting have occurred, impacting farm workers, neighbors, and others, said Jonathan Oppenheimer, Government Relations Director of the Idaho Conservation League. Many of those incidents have been where applicators were not following the label instructions. ICL continues to study the bill, but generally we do have some concerns that this may shield pesticide manufacturers who are potentially liable under the law and leave Idahoans who are harmed without recourse. Okay.
Bullshit. Bullshit.
Yeah.
Okay, Matt? Bullshit. Here's why it's bullshit. It is because that person that chooses to not apply that product in compliance with the label law, labeling, is essentially he himself is violating the law. I mean, what is the pesticide manufacturer supposed to do? Be out there with the grower holding his fucking hand while he's applying that product? No, because that manufacturer went through hell with the EPA to even get that product registered and labeled for application and usage within the United States. So I agree with this legislation. The label should be sufficient. And furthermore, violation of the product label should not be the problem of the manufacturer. That should be the problem of the person that chose to violate what is written on that label. It is him and him alone. Nobody else.
Yeah, DeMay, I'm going to pose a hypothetical to you here. If you are if you are an applicator and you are barehanding mixing chlordane into a sprayer, and you go make applications, and you and everyone you train to also mix chlordane barehanded come down with some neurotoxic disease or disorder or whatever, what responsibility falls on the manufacturer?
I mean, none. If I go eat 8 Big Macs every single day, am I going to sue McDonald's when my heart explodes?
I mean, to me, that's what it sounds like the alternative to this bill wants to have happen.
Listen, if I use, the cheap VO5 conditioner from Dollar General, to masturbate with every single day for a decade, and it burns so bad that it cauterizes my piss hole shut, and then I die of rhizomycetosis, should I blame VO5? No,
No.
They
I
didn't.
just like to live on the
The,
edge.
the label said not to put it in inconspicuous places, but it didn't specifically mention that hole.
That
Who's to say
place.
where external turns to internal anyway?
What is it?
Yeah.
All right. Thankfully, those are all the burns we have today. Let's get some good news out of the returns.
The greatest burn of them all.
I'm back.
Shocker! Guess who won another Turf Bowl title? Dum dum dum. Purdue. Does Purdue win this every year?
No, but they're they're in that pantheon. If we were talking college football,
Yeah,
the Alabama, the Georgia, they're right there at the top every year. So
I
good to
know.
see it. It's basically, for folks that don't know, they have what's called the Turf Bowl, which has a practical component, right, where they have to do samples that come from greenhouses and things like that to do ID for weeds and grasses, insects, things like that. There's a written form of the test that is multiple choice, and then they do a case study or two. I can't remember how this test is formatted now, but a case study or two where they're given a problem, they have to kind of write out, okay, here are the steps we would take to kind of methodically go through it and deduce what's going on and come up with a plan of action. Here's your plan of action, and kind of go from there. So, uh, really, really smart, bright kids.
Yeah.
It's a way, I guess the best way to put it is that they have to commit a lot of time to studying, a lot of extra effort outside of classes. Isn't just like, you show up and you take the test. Like, they spend literally hours and hours and hours for months leading up to this. So this is their highest level to test themselves, right, against their peers, right? Because as my turf instructor used to say, you're not competing with the people sitting next to you, you're competing with the other hundreds of kids that are out there in turf school right now that you're going to compete with in 2 years, 10 years, 20 years for a job. And what's what you're willing to do right now and for the rest of that time to get yourself better and do things that not everybody else was willing to do to get yourself ahead of them. So kudos to them for all the shit that we give young people here and things like that about different things. These are the people that are our people, right? The people that are willing to do uncommon things to achieve uncommon results. Congratulations, Purdue. Boiler
I
up.
have a good friend that went to Purdue, and he was big into the turf bowl. He asked me, he's like, "Hey, did you ever do the turf bowl?" I was like, "No, you don't want to know." No, they didn't offer beer bongs at the entrance, and so it wasn't exactly my thing. Uh, MetLife Stadium is finally getting rid of the dreaded turf field. Jets and Giants
Yeah.
fan have been begging and pleading with their favorite franchises to change the playing surface at MetLife Stadium for years now. Finally, their prayers were answered. MetLife Stadium was officially announced to host the venue for the FIFA World Cup final in 2026. FIFA regulations state that every host stadium must have a grass playing surface, which means that MetLife will be forced to undergo some long overdue renovations in the near future. It's unclear when the stadium is expected to make changes, but it does have to occur before June of 2026. It's also unknown if the switch to grass will be a permanent one. Nonetheless, the stadium in which the Jets and Giants play their home games will be moving away from the dirty turf that has plagued athletes for years. That could have some serious implications for the future of both franchises. The Jets players should be thrilled about MetLife Stadium's impending changes because they've been really outspoken about their desire for it to change. The turf is widely considered to be the worst playing surface in the NFL, and it has a strong correlation with the increased injury risk. Jets wide receiver Garrett Wilson called the stadium turf garbage. Multiple Miami Dolphins players were very vocal about their displeasure with the stadium after a number of their players suffered non-contact injuries at the MetLife. Anyway, it goes on and on. Looks like grass is in the running again. Make grass great
No.
again.
No, they're going to put they're putting synthetic back in there for now.
I know.
Yeah,
I
just
know.
different kind of synthetic.
Yeah, you can't. For
But
the
you're gonna have
FIFA, they will have to have grass.
Yeah, the World
right?
Cup. So the World Cup final they did today. Today is Sunday, February 4th. Today they announced that the World Cup final in 2026 will be there, and they'll be on grass. So a good experiment to see how it'll work. Especially in an outdoor stadium. And I think based on all the testing that's been done to this point, it's not like they're just kind of hoping and praying that everything's going to go well. This is years that this has been going on now in the States to prepare for 2026, and these next 2 years will be pivotal in terms of taking that research and applying it to sod farmers that are going to grow this stuff in the field, and then stadium managers that will have to take care of that grass at not just the stadiums that they're playing matches in, but also 120 fields that'll be training sites around the country for all the teams that come in. So it'll be some of the golden age of non-golf grass growing is about to take place in the United States here in the next 2 years. It's going to be fascinating to watch. Really fascinating.
Yeah, I was going to say that is exciting as hell because there's obviously not enough of that going on, but thanks to people like DeMay, that it is still going on, and so hopefully he gets to be a bit more involved in that and can give us a little bit of the insight. Oh, good baseball, God, COVID. All right, we're going to get the hell out of here. We're going to go hang out with our patrons, patreon.com/burner return. We're going to let them choose the title of this week's episode. Real quick, we got a mailbag. Nope. Missed it.
Oh, I thought I heard
You've got mail.
mail.
Hometown Learner Tour said, does the growth probability spreadsheet make any assumptions related to clippings returned or bagged? No. And the big one that I would say you'd probably pay most attention to there would be phosphorus, and you could pretty much guarantee that the overwhelming majority of that's going to be returned back. Potassium, not quite as much, but definitely will have a fair amount of that returned back as well too. But if you're looking for that, I believe is Texas A&M does a lot of estimation of organic matter release, and by proxy, you could probably math your way into that from clipping return too. But I would not expect you to be able to supplement all your remaining in for the year purely based on clipping return. So don't be fooled into that one. I would go ahead and base it on what your utilization would rate, and then if you want to take it to the next notch, do it based on organic matter levels in your soil. I would just not expect much from a rate of return event on clippings. Okay, now we're going to hang out with the patrons. Patreon.com/burner return. If you're of the means to do that, by all means. If you're of the means, by all means, check it out. It's a community of like-minded people who have one interest in learning, and that is to learn. And that's why we welcome everyone in there, because everyone comes with the expectation that they are there to learn, and that is our one rule, is that if you show up, you better show up to set your ass up to learn. I learn there every day. Everybody there learns something every day. Do better, be better. That's the brand of the Discord. All right, y'all have a good one. Bye.
Who wants to talk show titles?
All right, let's pull them up here. What do we got?
All right. Let's get
Oh, you can't share your screen? You can't... Oh, there you go.
this.
Yeah, that bitch totally chat GPT'd her article.
You see all the stuff about Sports Illustrated doing that?
No,
What?
I'm not shocked. Did they
Oh,
just lay
yeah,
off
yeah,
everyone
yeah.
too?
Yeah, like right at the end of the year,
because-
they were busted on it.
Nobody took me up on my offer. fart in my mouth before the end of the show. So no free Patreon. Fuck y'all.
I don't Dixon blood cells. I don't get this busy, but
You know what? Some of the things that come out of Busy's mouth just don't make sense.
Yeah.
moving on. Sure is a lot of dick in your mouth tonight, Busy.
I think it's supposed to be tits and the blood cells, but I don't know when we were talking about blood cells.
Yeah. Child labor, is it free or taxed? These are all from the pre-show. It was a hell of a pre-show. I thought this was an agricultural and turfgrass podcast. Gordon Ramsay of the
For
Pink
parts
Taco.
of it.
Yeah.
For parts of it.
Even the
Gordon Ramsay.
stupid can't penetrate lead. Take your shirt off and get ready. Lizard Man blows himself.
Oh, Telly, I missed this one. What is this? What about heavy? Yeah,
I've got the
that
heavy
Telly-
duty grill one too in there. I love it.
Telly, my advice to you would be to wrap your penis up like a baked potato and serve it to TK. 'Cause you're gonna need the heavy duty foil. Now listen,
Yeah.
my band. What's this guy's name again? Sand, Bob
Yeah,
Sand,
Ron
something like that.
Sands.
Rob,
Man,
weird
this guy, dude.
looking guy. Weird looking guy.
You nailed it. God
Goodness
almighty,
me.
that guy's awful looking, and his lady is not.
No, this is Jay Pink's comment here. Let me read this here. This guy either has an elephant cock or a bank account to go with it to get this chick. His wife is a little like kind of got that plain Jane thing going on.
Dude, his wife munches box. Garen.
I said his wife has never had sex with the lights on, especially with him. And then then when you listen to it, we got to listen to her voice. Click that. I want.
I did
everybody
want to
to
hear her voice.
Whoops.
Rob
I
is
guarantee you,
particular. He loves efficiency.
that chick
Rob's
loves
cheap.
pussy as much
Rob.
as I do. Maybe more.
Listen, I don't discount that for a minute, but is that the voice in any orientation of a relationship that you want to be screaming, "Whose pussy is this?" She sounds like a 55-year-old woman, but she's like 41. in this video.
Rob talks like this.
Auditor.
Yeah, do we have
I
any?
can
Do we
think
have
of
any?
a few
Do we have
reasons.
any Rob Sand
Rob
audio? We get it. Let's see this. Let me see if I can find
is
it.
particular.
Iowa.
He
Let's
loves
see if I can get some
efficiency.
Rob audio.
Rob's cheap. Rob. Really cheap. Rob. He's qualified too. He uncovered the largest lottery rigging scam ever, helped clean up the film tax credit scandal, and cracked down on corrupt public officials of both parties. So yeah,
Yes.
take it from me. Rob will make a great state auditor.
Okay, here we go. I got some audio on him here. I'm going to feed you. And
Dude, I'd bet
shit.
$10,000 fucking dollars that chick is a carpet fucking muncher, just all on it.
I'd watch.
Yeah.
All right, let's hear him.
Oh my God.
He looks
Christ
he looks so
almighty.
bad here. He looks pause. If you just changed his shirt, right, and put on like a tattered up
This
no
is
for
Donnie
your shirt
from Stay in your fucking lane, Donnie.
Buscemi.
Yeah.
No, seriously. If you just changed him to like some old scrubby clothing, would you not feel like this guy is walking out of the fucking methadone clinic from his first treatment?
Yes. Yes.
Across the country. It's exactly why the government watchdog community from across the country, people.
Is it
Pause.
just
He's a deep mouth talker. So
Yeah.
when the air is in his mouth, he talks kind of like this. It's a little bit like Dan Rather used to talk. You know,
The guy
he
has a
sucks
45-degree
air.
slope on his shoulders. What
Yeah.
the fuck is that?
Is his voice like that, DeMay, just because his mouth is so huge?
I think it could be, but literally, like all the air from his diaphragm pushes against the back of his molars, and then has to come all the way up to the front of his mouth to get out.
Yeah.
It's very. Can we get that?
Box.
Can we get that?
He fucking
Can we get that
hoovers.
as the? We need that as a sticker.
That's a
and
sticker
an emoji,
going in there.
and that
Yeah.
is going to be
Anything Driver says.
wife taco grinder. Wife taco grinder.
Anything driver says, right there, Matt.
Yeah.
That is.
Wife taco grinder. That's I'm really hoping
Every
that,
company needs a union.
have a lack of independence for your auditor here. That's exactly why the entire professional community across the country. It's exactly why the government watchdog community from across the country, people from both
Some,
parties said this is a
pause.
bad idea.
He went
For
from
his head
45
size,
degree
his-
slope to like fucking 80. What is happening?
Look at his ears.
Goodness.
His ears in
Oh,
relation to his
goodness.
head.
Oh, I got huge ears.
Telly said it. Telly said it. He
You got a
has
big
no
head, though.
shoulders. I have a big head.
I'm saying something happened to this dude in the birth canal. Like,
Yeah, it elongated his neck and fucking broke his shoulders down.
mom
Guys,
had
this would
iron hips.
when somebody
like
has their head stuffed on the toilet and they keep on getting the toilet flushed.
Triangle.
Yeah.
I know you know, Matt.
Yeah.
All right, what are
Jesus
other show
Christ,
titles?
man.
Let me get back to that camera.
Live coverage of the Grammy Awards. That's pretty good. We should title it that and freak
I
people
bet you those
out
kids
that
were
actually click
turkey
on it.
basters too. She didn't let them inside her. Sure.
Think about that.
Yikes.
Should Koch brothers
Need
still
to
be
go to-
referred to in
And cute
plural?
kids too.
You need to go to Williams Sonoma. I
Definitely
don't
not
want just
just
any
kids.
fucking turkey baster in my pussy. It has to be a Williams Sonoma.
The
turkey
one on the
baster.
left is his because he's got a triangle head too, but the one on the right.
Oh, I'm
is
saying no.
definitely-
It's all his. I'm just saying that she made him go to Williams Sonoma, jerk off into the turkey baster, and then she squeezed. Or maybe her girlfriend squeezed it in there. I don't know. Because when she's saying whose pussy's in this in that 55-year-old woman's voice, that carpet from hers is my pussy, you fucking whore.
She have a
The Koch
landing
brother-
strip. She definitely has a landing strip. Huge.
Koch
fan.
It's shaved into a
brother-
heart. It's shaved into a heart.
Oh, fucking loser.
Actually, no.
State auditor is a free paycheck.
Mhm.
And the Grabby Award for the best hand job goes to Industry Simp. Urea bag holders get worried. If you replace efficacy with ecstasy, the show gets more interesting.
Oh my god.
Jesus Christ.
Movie voice. In a world without glyphosate. Europe
Jesus.
says, pound me with nitrogen, baby. I'm not on glyphosate protection. EU farmers are not out for revenge. They are after restitution.
Restitution.
Oh gosh.
Don't call it an insurrection until the shit flies. France puts the EU in EU. Happy show about streamlining the path to death and other dystopian fantasies. Ray will always be darker than us. Homeboy has jugs of all sizes. I'm still gonna send it. Live from the West Coast, an atmospheric river of smoothie. Coke on the mirror, Coke on the lawn. Does Coke on the grass make chronic?
Jesus.
There's our article from ChatGPT.
I like that one, Eric.
The label didn't say not to put it in that hole.
That's true. It didn't. Oh yeah, the Harrier jet. I do remember that.
VO5 will cauterize holes when used off label.
Yeah.
When do the glyphosate reparation checks go out? Joe knows pink
These are
taco
white.
clogging ant flows nozzle stream split by hydratane pH.
Jesus Christ.
Dave. My god.
I just say that, just run it and we'll probably have more people clicking on our show just because they're like, what the fuck does that mean?
Yeah.
I think Aldo is winning.
Yes.
Way up here.
Yeah.
I thought this
we'll
was an
shorten it
agri-
to. Yeah, I thought this was an ag and turf podcast.
Okay. Been a while since Aldo's gotten a win. I mean,
Yeah.
we should probably just give it to him.
Ooh,
Token
jeez.
Mexican shit.
Oh, God almighty. This is brutal in here.
All right, we'll give it to Aldo.
Can we make a joke about big hoop earrings too, Aldo? Somewhere in there. Latina thing.
Oh,
Right, boys.
toxic look.
Love y'all.
We'll
Yeah,
see. DeMay, are you in town on Thursday? Oh, he already dropped.
You already dropped. Yeah.
That's a yes or a no. All right, we'll
Yeah.
see y'all.
Yeah, all right. Have a good night.
Bye.